When you hear the name Dracula, what do you think of? A vampire? Creature of the night? Who sleeps in a coffin and drinks blood? Bram Stoker wrote that story in 1897, but he didn't invent the name. He stole it from a real person. A man who lived 400 years earlier. The real Dracula didn't have fangs. He didn't turn into a bat. But he was far more terrifying than any movie monster. He was a prince who dined among the rotting corpses of his enemies. He was a warrior who stopped the greatest empire in the world using pure fear. This is the story of Vlad III, the Prince of Wallachia, the man history calls Vlad the Impaler. Monsters are not born, they are made. In 1442, Vlad was just a terrified 11-year-old boy. His father, the ruler of Wallachia, gave him to the Ottoman Sultan as a hostage to ensure peace. For 6 long years, Vlad lived in the enemy's court. He was educated, but he was also a prisoner. He watched his captors. He studied their language, their military tactics, and most importantly, their cruelty. He learned that in a world of wolves, you cannot be a sheep. You must be a bigger wolf. When he finally returned home, he found his family slaughtered. His father was assassinated. His older brother was buried alive. The boy who left was gone. The man who returned was filled with a cold, burning rage. He took the throne, and he swore that no one would ever hurt him or his country again. Vlad's rule was absolute. He hated thieves, liars, and disrespect. There is a famous story that defines his brutal justice. One day, envoys from the Ottoman Empire came to visit him. They bowed, but they refused to take off their turbans. They said it was their religious custom. Vlad smiled. He said, "I want to strengthen your custom." He ordered his guards to seize the men, then took long iron nails and nailed their turbans directly into their skulls, sent them back to the Sultan with a message. "We are a small country, but we are not your slaves." This was not just cruelty, it was a message. Vlad knew he couldn't defeat the massive Ottoman army with swords alone. He had to defeat them with psychological warfare. The Sultan was furious. He marched towards Wallachia with an army of 100,000 men. Vlad only had a few thousand soldiers. Vlad used scorched earth tactics. He burned his own villages and poisoned the wells so the enemy would starve. But his masterpiece waited at the capital city of Targovik. As the Ottoman army approached the city, they smelled something terrible, a smell of death. They marched forward and saw a horrifying sight, a forest, but not of trees. It was a forest of 20,000 impaled bodies. Turkish soldiers, prisoners, even women and children elevated on tall wooden stakes. The sight was so demonic, so terrifying, that the Ottoman Sultan, a man who had conquered Constantinople, emitted in disgust. He said, "How can I fight a man who does this?" The army turned around and went home. Vlad had won. He didn't win with weapons, he won with a nightmare. But terror cannot last forever. Vlad was eventually betrayed by his own nobles and his brother Radu the Handsome. He died in battle in 1476. His enemies were so afraid he would come back to life that they cut off his head and preserved it in a jar of honey, sending it to Constantinople as proof. Today, Romanians consider him a hero who defended their land. The rest of the world sees him as a monster. Perhaps he was both. But one thing is certain, the vampire Dracula is fiction. But the pain Vlad caused was very, very real. What do you think? Was he a necessary evil or just evil? Comment below.